3 spine-chilling true stories of sinister roommates. Secrets revealed, haunting discoveries await. It was supposed to be a fresh start for Sarah and Lily, but the moment they stepped into their new 2-bedroom apartment, an overwhelming chill wrapped around them. The wallpaper peeled slightly, revealing layers of forgotten stories, and shadows danced with a life of their own. Sarah thought about the freedom that had come with her divorce, but now, clutching Lily's hand as they explored the dimly lit rooms, her heart raced with an unsettling fear. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as if whispers from the walls themselves urged them to leave. "The place gives me the creeps," Lily murmured, her voice trembling. Sarah forced a smile, determined to keep her daughter calm. They needed this, a neighborhood that promised safety, a new beginning. But soon after settling in, an unexpected presence loomed over them. Tom, their cheerful roommate with the unsettling knack for storytelling, seemed to glide effortlessly through their lives. His folktales, teeming with shadowy figures lurking in the suburbs, felt more foreboding than fantastical. It all started innocently enough. But when Sarah began her late-night shifts at the hospital, she noticed Tom's unsettling habits. It was small things at first, how he would bring up their conversations as if he had overheard them. "Did you enjoy that new recipe, Sarah?" he'd say, grinning in a way that sent shivers down her spine. And how, on her nights off, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallways despite knowing the place was deserted. Even the walls began to creak and groan, an eerie symphony accompanying Sarah's exhaustion. "Someone's messing with us," Lily said one evening, her eyes wide with fear. Sarah brushed off her daughter's concern, convincing herself it was exhaustion. Who would waste time on their mundane life? But soon, things began to vanish, little items, like Lily's favorite bracelet. Then an important piece of mail. One night, as Sarah returned from work, she found Lily huddled in her room, illuminated only by the glow of her laptop. "I've been researching the apartment," she admitted, her voice strained. The glow flickered menacingly as she shared chilling details of previous tenants' disappearances that left no trace. Lives swallowed whole by the darkness. Panic gripped Sarah. Each local news story whispered of another missing person, dissipating like smoke in the wind. The authorities dismissed their concerns, rolling their eyes with skepticism, merging the threads of dismissal with her growing realization. They were trapped. The security she had longed for shattered alongside her peace of mind. Days blurred into nights, and Tom's tales grew darker, gripping tighter around Sarah's heart. Each story echoed unsettling truths of betrayal, a history of violence linked directly to their very home. It felt as if the walls themselves were telling her not to trust him. Desperation clawed at her as she dug into Tom's past, unraveling secrets buried under layers of charming smiles. "Mom, there's more to him," Lily whispered one night, her voice shaky with fear. Just then, a noise erupted from the hallway, a loud thud, sharp and unfurling like a knife through the growing dread. Sarah froze, her grip on the doorknob tightening, fear slicing through her like a bitter wind. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Ignoring her instincts screamed at her to flee, Sarah stepped towards the door, creaked ajar, revealing shadows against the walls. Every nerve in her body screamed for her to turn back, but she had to find out the truth. Was the real danger the stories Tom spun, or something far worse lurking just out of sight? As the chilling connection between Tom and the apartment's haunted history surfaced, fear pulsated. Something sinister awaited just beyond the threshold. Holding Lily's trembling hand tighter, they faced the darkness together, knowing their terrifying ordeal had only just begun. The silence in the hallway draped heavily around them, thick and oppressive. Sarah mustered the courage to push the door wide open, the creaking hinges punctuating the silence. The dim light from their apartment barely reached the darkened corridor, edges blurred like lost memories. It felt as if shadows were writhing on the walls, almost alive. "Mom?" Lily's voice quivered. Struggling to maintain her composure, Sarah turned back, seeing the fear etched on her daughter's face. She offered a curt nod, though her heart pounded fiercely. They had to face this, whatever it was. As they stepped into the hallway, the air felt colder, biting at their skin. The sound of their footsteps echoed ominously. Each step sent jolts of fear racing through Sarah. Up ahead, a faint flicker of light danced beneath a door, a warning or a beckoning. She couldn't tell. "Let us check it out," she whispered, urging Lily along. But with every step, unease coiled around her like a tightening noose. They approached the door at the end of the hall, the one they avoided since moving in. It had always felt wrong, as though it were watching them. Now it was their only option. Leaning in, Sarah could hear murmurs, soft and disjointed, like anguished whispers pleading from beyond. Was it Tom? Was he warning them? In a flash of panic, Sarah pulled the door open. Inside was a small, cluttered room filled with mismatched furniture, shrouded in dust and shadows. The overwhelming stench hovered, a mix of mildew and something metallic. Her gaze landed on a wall covered in photographs, dozens of faces frozen in smiles, but accompanied by ghostly remnants of red tape, an unsettling detail that twisted her stomach. What is this?" Lily gasped, her young mind trying to process a horror that no child should ever know. "Stay close, Lily." Sarah's voice trembled as she stepped deeper into the room, inspecting the faded images. Each face looked strangely familiar. It took a moment, but as she leaned closer, realization struck her like a punch to the gut. The smiling faces, they were the same faces from the news articles Lily had shared. Names she read, fates she feared. "They're all missing," Lily whispered, her eyes widening. "Look, here's Tom," Sarah pointed out, a picture wedged among the others. He stood in the middle of a gathering, dressed sharply, smile wide, eyes gleaming with something that made the hair on her arms stand. "What is this?" And then, out of nowhere, the door slammed shut behind them. "Mom!" Lily screamed. Panic surged within Sarah as she turned towards the door, but it wouldn't budge. She pressed her weight against it, but it felt like facing a brick wall. The whispers grew louder, lingering horrors echoing around them. Each word slithered into her ears, a warning of encroaching doom. "Let us get out of here, Lily." But before she could take a step, Tom appeared in the doorway, leaning casually against the frame. His smile was sinister, a twisted grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Did you find what you were looking for?" he asked, voice smooth as silk, dripping with malice. The shadows behind him writhed, threatening to spill forth, and Sarah felt icy fingers creeping along her spine. This was no longer just a roommate's tale. It was a web of deception, one she wished she had fled from long ago. "Mom, I'm scared," Lily whispered, grabbing onto her mother's arm. "Stay behind me." But as she clenched her daughter's hand tighter, an unsettling thought gripped her. What if their true nightmare was only just beginning? In an instant, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. Just as Sarah's heart raced with fear, she realized they weren't alone anymore. Something shifted in the shadows, something that had been waiting for the right moment to strike. And then came the sound, a low growl, crawling through the air, wrapping around them until they could hardly breathe. Surprised, Tom chuckled, and the room erupted into chaos as darkness enveloped them. A chilling thought surfaced in Sarah's mind. Some secrets should never be uncovered. What would they have to face next? As she looked for any chance of escape, an idea struck her. If they could find the light, maybe they could reveal the truth. But who would help them in a darkness so deep? The fight was just beginning. A sudden surge of adrenaline coursed through Sarah as she clutched Lily's hand tighter, bracing against the chaos unraveling around them. The growling intensified, a throaty rumble echoing off the moldy walls, each pulse sending chills racing down her spine. Tom's figure, now barely a silhouette against the waves of darkness, seemed to grow larger, menacing. "Mom, what's happening?" Lily's voice trembled in the air, fragile and edged with terror. I don't know, Lily. Just hold on to me tight. Sarah's heart felt like it would burst, each beat a desperate cry for survival. The room felt alive. The floorboards creaked beneath their feet, and shadows twisted and swirled like restless spirits hungry for release. Tom stepped forward, the smile still plastered on his face, but his eyes darkened, voids of nothingness that threatened to swallow them whole. You shouldn't have come in here. Now you'll know the truth, he purred, as if savoring the very words he spoke. The shadows flared momentarily, illuminating twisted, grotesque shapes lurking in the corners of the room before plunging them back into suffocating darkness. Tom, please, just let us go, Sarah shrieked, instinctively backing toward the wall, feeling the cold, damp surface against her back. Go? But you're just getting started, he replied, a hint of amusement threading through his voice. You've found your way into my little world. Isn't it thrilling? Lily pressed against her mother, wide-eyed and shaking. Mom, I want to go home, she whimpered, her innocence juxtaposed against the dark reality surrounding them. Home? Tom's laughter rang like a death knell. How quaint. Don't you see? This is home now. You'll fit right in, he said and beckoned with an exaggerated gesture. Sarah felt the creeping dread seep into her bones. The photographs on the wall seemed to pulse with an eerie life of their own, each smiling face now twisted with despair as if they were real, just behind the glass, begging for escape. Lily, we need to get to the door now. She turned, dragging her daughter behind her. But as they raced back, the shadows thickened, pulling her with an invisible hand. Panic surged sharply, cutting through her clarity. Mom, wait! Lily screamed as Sarah stumbled, almost collapsing to the floor as a figure darted from the corner, its shape indistinguishable but oozing malice. Stay away from my collection. Tom snarled, revealing sharp teeth, an unsettling hunger in his gaze. The growling around them morphed into a cacophony of tortured whispers, melding into a terrifying chorus that clawed at Sarah's sanity. Don't you understand? Tom continued. Once you're here, you're one of us. You're not leaving. A desperate thought sparked in Sarah's mind. We will leave, she shouted, feeling her energy surge despite the terror. She glanced around the room, trash scattered in chaos, light flickering at the far end. Lily, the light. Follow me. Swallowing her fear, she rushed toward the flickering source, her feet pounding the floor, not daring to look back. But glancing briefly over her shoulder, she saw dark silhouettes swarming, chasing. Each flicker of light seemed to guide them closer, a beacon amidst impending doom. Keep moving, she urged, dragging Lily into a sprint, feeling panic transform into a furious determination. They could not be swallowed whole. When they finally reached the doorway where the light pulsed, it was as if a force field radiated around it. In a frantic attempt, Sarah threw her shoulder against the door. It rattled but wouldn't yield, a solid barrier against the darkness behind them. Mom, I can't breathe, Lily gasped, starting to hyperventilate. Just hold on, I'll find a way. But every second felt like a countdown to unimaginable horror. Tom's laughter grew louder, resonating with the whispers. There's no escape from this truth, you're part of the collection now. Desperation clawed at her throat. A sudden flash of light emanated from her pocket. The cell phone. She fumbled for it, hands shaking violently, and struck the screen, illuminating their faces in the darkness. Everyone's here. Mom, Lily cried out, pointing with trembling fingers. Sarah's heart dropped as she looked around, seeing the edges of faces in the dark, the echoes of the people from the photos. What did she have to do? How could she break this curse? In that heartbeat, the room shifted, and she understood. The light didn't just reveal, contained the key, but how to unlock it before it was too late. As shadows rushed forward, feeding off her fear, she felt the weight of dread grip her, making it harder to push back. Time was running out. Mom, we can't stay. But before she could reply, the whispers crescendoed into a frenzied scream, drowning out her thoughts. Would the truth help them escape, or would it trap them forever in this web of madness? As darkness closed in, Sarah took a deep breath, preparing to fight against both the shadows and the man who was more monster than human. The battle was far from over, and the truth she faced might be the most terrifying of all. What lurked beyond the door? Would she dare find out? The door loomed in front of Sarah. It felt like a gaping maw, hungry and insatiable, refusing to yield to her push. She could sense the shadows curling closer, their whispers threading through her mind, pulling at her sanity. Her heart thudded in her chest like a caged animal, frantic to escape, to get away from the suffocating dark. "Lily, can you see anything?" she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. Lily's eyes, wide and filled with pure fright, were locked on the shaping shadows that danced hungrily behind them. "No, Mom, I don't want to be here. Just stay with me," Sarah shouted, her own fear igniting her protective instincts. She turned back to the door, tearing at it, clawing at the stubborn wood. It felt as though a force, some dark energy, pressed against her from the other side, refusing to let them escape. Tom stepped closer, his teeth gleaming in the dim light of the phone, a predator reveling in the hunt. "You can't fight what's already inside you," he taunted, his voice now dripping with an unsettling glee. With each word, shadows morphed around him, weaving and writhing like mist. Faces began to emerge in the blackness, hollow eyes watching, judging. The photographs, once mere images, now felt alive, the sorrow of their captors seeping into Sarah's skin like poison. "Mom, what do we do?" Lily cried, her voice quivering. A glimmer of light flickered on the screen of the phone as it slipped from Sarah's grasp and landed with a hollow thud at their feet. "No." She bent down to retrieve it, heart racing. But the moment her fingers brushed the cold glass, an icy sensation surged through her veins. A vision flashed. The faces in the photographs warped into grotesque howls of anguish. Each man, woman, and child was trapped. Each was screaming for help, their eyes wild with terror, as Tom's laughter echoed around her, wrapping her in chains of despair. "Join us," he rasped, and the shadows surged forward, tendrils of darkness reaching for lilting flesh. Sarah gritted her teeth, her heart a thunderstorm in her chest. She snatched the phone and pointed it like a weapon. "Back off." Her voice was firm, an anchor against the storm of panic. Somehow it brought a gleam of hope. Lily squeezed her hand, the warmth reminding her of what mattered. "The truth, the light," Sarah muttered under her breath, desperate to decipher the words. If the light was a key, she needed to unlock its truth. "Maybe if we stand together," she whispered to Lily, feeling the bond of motherhood surge through her. They needed to confront the darkness, not hide from it. "On the count of 3, we pushed together. 1, 2, 3. They slammed their bodies against the door in unison, and for a fraction of a second time froze. The door cracked open a sliver, just enough for a glimmer of dazzling light to spill into the room, illuminating the swirling shadows, and for a fleeting moment, they recoiled, hissing like wounded serpents. But it was short-lived. The shadows retaliated, roaring with an animalistic rage. Tom lunged forward, and in the face of this overwhelming darkness, a chilling realization struck Sarah. The truth was not just what lurked in the depths of the room. It was what had been unraveling inside her all along. The fear, the despair it was feeding the very nightmares they were facing. "Let us go," she bellowed, as they threw their weight against the door again, igniting the light with their combined strength. But just as they pushed forward, Tom screamed, the sound piercing and primal, like the wail of a banshee. "You can't escape the truth. It'll catch you, it always does." The room quaked, and with it, the air thickened, a palpable malevolence, pressing down on them, threatening to crush their will to fight. They were facing more than just Tom. They were facing every shadow of fear within themselves. Would they burst through the door into safety, or would they be consumed by the very darkness they sought to escape? The light beckoned, but the chilling grip of despair wrapped tighter around their throats. "Hold on, Lily." As they pushed harder, the door trembled, but a deeper terror rested under Sarah's skin. What was waiting on the other side? "Can you hear it?" Lily's voice was small, but it echoed with a strength Sarah hadn't heard before. The truth, it's right there. We have to believe. Just as the door began to creak open wider, shadows recoiled, swirling, blinding them with a flash of blackness. Screams erupted behind them, merging with Tom's laughter, an ominous promise that they might never escape the darkness. "Don't look back," Sarah urged, stepping into the light, her heart thundering in unison with Lily's. But even as they stepped closer to the doorway, doubt crept in. Was the truth beyond this threshold, or was it merely another trap set by Tom? As the light pulsed, flickering intermittently, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing against her. The moment would come when all would be revealed. Could they conquer the dread that loomed, or would fear bind them to their fate forever? With one last push, they barreled into the light, and hiding somewhere in the brightness, whispers rose like smoke, spiraling and climbing, threatening to reveal the truth of it all. What would they discover when the shadows could no longer chase them? Would they find freedom, or would the true horror begin? The moment they crossed the threshold, the world around them melted into a blinding brilliance. Sarah squeezed Lily's hand tighter, every instinct telling her to hold on. Time twisted, each second stretching into eternity. The whispers grew louder, surrounding them, swirling like a tempest of secrets waiting to be uncovered. "Mom, I can't see anything." Lily's voice trembled, her small body shaking with fear. The light was disorienting, blinding, yet seemed alive with intensity. Shadows flickered at the periphery, but the hissing had quieted, replaced by an unsettling hum that thumped in time with Sarah's heart. This wasn't safety. This was another kind of danger. Suddenly, the blinding light collapsed into darkness, plunging them back into a suffocating void. The door slammed shut behind them, trapping them in an unfamiliar room. Cold air gripped Sarah's skin, sending shivers down her spine. Where were they? An ancient wooden floor creaked beneath them, and the faint scent of mildew filled the air. She could barely see Lily, the child's silhouette merging with the shadows. "Lily, are you okay?" Panic laced her voice. I think so," Lily whispered, but her words hung heavy with uncertainty. The darkness felt different here. It wrapped around them like a living entity, breathing, pulsing. Then came the sound, a soft sobbing echoing through the dark. It fractured Sarah's heart. "Who's there?" Her voice cracked, steeped in dread. "Help me." A faint whisper drifted through the air, laced with anguish. "Please, Lily, stay close," Sarah commanded, her instinct to protect igniting. They moved cautiously towards the sound, the shadows stretching, clawing at them as they advanced. Each step felt weighted, as if the very ground was pulling them back. The whispers intensified, blending into a cacophony of terrified pleas. Faces emerged from the dark, hollow-eyed, mouths opened in silent screams. They hovered just outside comprehension, like echoes from a forgotten realm. Were these the trapped souls Tom had summoned? "Mom, I'm scared." Lily's grip on her hand tightened, nearly crushing. "I know, baby, but we can't turn back," Sarah reassured, though her own heart was racing with dread as they stepped forward. The sobbing grew louder. A figure materialized, a hazy shape clutching its head, its body trembling. "Help me break free," it gasped, each word laced with a sorrow that burrowed into Sarah's soul. "Who are you?" Sarah stepped closer, her heart pounding. Trapped, the figure shuddered violently. "We all are. You must face the truth or be lost like us." "Face the truth?" Sarah echoed, confusion swirling with fear. What truth? The truth was the very thing they were running from, the darkness inside Tom and perhaps inside herself. "Your pain, it feeds him," the figure murmured, despair in its hollow eyes. "You must confront it, or it will consume you." In that moment, understanding snaked through Sarah's veins. The truth was more than confronting Tom. It was facing her own fears, her regrets, her guilt. She shuddered at the thought. Could she ever truly confront the darkness she felt within? "Lily." She turned to her daughter, the only light in a smothering world of shadows. "We need each other. If we face this together, if we're honest, maybe we can break the cycle." The figure's face twisted in relief. Yes. Together you can fight. The room trembled again, as if the very walls wanted to swallow them whole. But you have to hurry or you will be lost. Mom, I don't want to be lost. Lily's voice cracked, tears sliding down her cheeks, glistening in the dim light. You won, TB. Look at me. Sarah took Lily by the shoulders, forcing her to meet her gaze. We're stronger than this. Together we can step into the light of truth. With newfound determination, they faced the whispers, ready to confront the embodiment of their fears. But a chilling sensation slithered around them, squeezing tighter. Could they withstand the weight of their own truth? Or would Tom's relentless pursuit drown them in despair once more? Before they could move, the figure gasped out another warning. He's coming. As the shadows writhed, forming the shape of Tom looming closer, a dark harbinger of their reckoning. Hold on, Lily. We have to face this together, Sarah shouted, her voice breaking through the dissonance, barely registering over the chaos unfolding and the blackness of the moment. Sarah steadied herself. The crunch of wood underfoot grew louder behind them, her breath hitching. Time was running out. What would happen when Tom caught them? Would they find the strength to unravel the shadows or succumb to the nightmares forever? The darkness pulsed around them, thick as smoke. A single heartbeat separated them from despair. Sarah could feel Heather's fear. She could hear it in her daughter's shallow breaths. The figure shimmered before them, its pleading, empty gaze piercing through the void. Together, it urged again, its voice blending with the whispers. You must see the darkness, understand, or you will be consumed. No, no. Sarah felt a dread slicing through her, tearing at her resolve. We won't let that happen. Yet every word seemed soaked in uncertainty. Then suddenly, a rush of cold wind swept through the room. It howled like a banshee, rattling the walls. Shadows twisted, and for a moment, Sarah saw something monstrous lurking. Tom's breath was different now, heavy and jagged, as if hunger and anger entwined in a singular, grotesque form. Mom! Lily's voice cracked like glass, shattering through the din. I can't see him, but I can feel him. Yes, here. As if summoned by her fear, Tom's silhouette collapsed into view. He was nothing now but a dark specter, a vortex consuming light and hope. You can't run forever, he rasped, a spine-chilling grin stretching across his face. Your truth is feeding me, Sarah. Your pain, your guilt, it's my fuel. Her heart raced. I won't let you let me what? He interrupted, his voice slithering over her like icy fingers. Let you protect your little girl? She's terrified. In fact, she knows your truth better than you. Lily shook her head wildly, her tiny hands digging into her mother's arm. No, I don't want to hurt. Mom, I don't want this. Don't listen to him, Sarah shouted, but the truth in Tom's words burrowed deeper. Fear gnawed at her, dredging up memories of helplessness and despair. How long had she let the darkness fester? Tom took a step closer, the shadows uncoiling around him like hungry tendrils. Face it, Sarah. You've always blamed me for what you couldn't accept in yourself. The failures, the abandonment, the secrets. They make you weak. You let me in and now you can't escape. No, get away from her. Sarah screamed, raw fear charging through her veins. She squeezed Lily's hand tighter. We can fight this. We have to. Tom snapped his attention to Lily, his expression twisting into something terrible, something predatory. You're just like your mother, little girl filled with darkness. You know what I want. Every little pain, every little regret. It will nourish me. His words shattered something deep within Sarah. She could feel the weight of her unconfessed truths like chains wrapping tightly around her heart. No! Mom! Lily's voice trembled. Please help me. The room warped, shadows enveloping them. Panicking, Sarah closed her eyes. Lily, we have to face it together. We have to be brave. No more running. But just as they steadied themselves, the figure, the echo of souls in agony, shrieked, He's coming for you. You must decide now, Sarah. Now. Lily's grip slipped from her hand, And for one terrifying moment, Sarah saw her daughter drawn into the darkness. Terror struck like lightning. Sarah lunged forward, reaching for her. "Lily," she cried. But the shadows recoiled, and Tom's mocking laughter filled the room. "You cannot hide from what you fear most. Embrace it or watch her fall." The space shifted, pulsing like a living thing. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah pulled herself together. She turned to the figure, desperate. "What do I have to do? How do we fight?" And with a flicker in the air, the figure leaned closer, the whispers turning into urgent chants. "You must know your heart. Uncover the darkest places, or you will lose your child to him. Choose now before it's too late." In that split second, everything hinged on Sarah's next decision. Could she face the truth she'd been running from her whole life? Could she reach into the depths of her soul and emerge intact? The room quaked again, shadows writhing. The chill settled deeper into her bones. Time was slipping away as she readied herself to confront the unfathomable. A new sense of dread washed over her. Would facing her own darkness save Lily, or would it whisk them both away into the abyss? Outside, the shadows stirred as if sensing the impending confrontation. And above them, the whispers crescendoed into an agonizing wail, echoing through the oppressive air. What revelation awaited them in the overwhelming dark? Would they find the strength to overcome the truth? The air thickened as Sarah inhaled sharply, her lungs constricting in the icy tendrils that wrapped around her. The whispers swelled, echoing in her skull like a cacophony of tortured souls clamoring for release. "Choose now," the figure urged, a flicker of light illuminating its features, revealing an expression of desperation mingled with hope. "Face him, Sarah," it urged. "Reach into the darkest corners of your heart. Show him you are stronger." But as she grappled with the uncertainty of her truths, Tom loomed closer. "Your honesty is your weakness. You've built walls around your heart, convinced they protect you. But those walls only invite me in." His voice dripped with sinister understanding, making Sarah wish she could plug her ears against the venomous words. Mom Lily's voice cut through the haze, trembling, small, and filled with anguish. "You can't let him win. Please." Guilt rushed in. Memories of sleepless nights and missed moments swirled around her like a torrent. Could she really confront those buried regrets? Could she unearth the festering wounds she de-masked for so long? Shadows twisted at the edges of her vision, hungry for her submission. "Think of everything you've suffered, Sarah," Tom growled, his eyes glowing within the darkness. "All those fears, all those failures, they make you unworthy. You know it deep down. The world isn't kind. It thrives on pain." The walls shuddered as if responding to his words, and panic rushed in. Time was almost up. The figure urged her forward. "Find your truth, Sarah. Use it against him." She focused on Lily, on the profound love that resonated within her, battling against Tom's darkness. Summoning every ounce of strength, she stepped forward, the chill blazing through her. "No, I won't be defined by fear." Lily blinked back tears. "Together, Mom. Please." The shadows hesitated, swaying as if they could hear the flicker of hope embedded in their bond. Summoning all her resolve, Sarah clenched her fists. "You won't take her. You don't own me, and you don't own her." Tom's form flickered, his features twisting in fury. "And what do you think you can do about it? Your light is so dim compared to mine." Then, a sudden jolt pierced the air as Sarah gathered her memories, every fragment spilling forth her father's betrayal, the nights of despair with her mother, the silence that came when she needed love. Every accusation levied against herself was a weapon she could wield. "I see you," she cried, her voice erupting like a shot in the dark. "You're just a reflection of my fears. You thrive on what I hide." The shadows surged around her, swirling in rage, but her words froze them in their tracks. "You can't scare me anymore." For a heartbeat that felt endless, the room teetered between chaos and calm. Lily's wide gaze met hers, and in that moment, Sarah felt the connection that bound them, a fierce flame ignited by love, a light that could cut through darkness. "Now, Lily, grab my hand." They reached for each other, fingers brushing, igniting the space between them like kindling to a spark. As they clasped tight, warmth surged, pushing back against the shadow around them. The whispers rose into a screeching frenzy, transforming into an agonizing howl. Tom flailed, the shadows writhing in protest. "You'll regret this. You can't escape me." The walls cracked under the weight of their unity, light spilling forth in chaotic waves. Glimmers of shared laughter and untouched joy showered them in radiant tones, shining against the darkness encircling them. But just then, the floor trembled, a fissure opening beneath their feet, streaming with thick, black smoke. Panic flooded Sarah as something unseen gripped her heart, squeezing it so tight she gasped. "What's happening?" "Mom!" Lily cried, her panicked voice pulling her back. "It's not over. He's trying to drag us down." The walls around them pulsed as if battling to contain the emerging chaos. Shadows clawed at Sarah's limbs, a visceral reminder that this fight was far from ended. Desperation clashed with determination, but fear clawed at her throat. Could they hold on? Could they truly face whatever lay beyond this threshold together? In that moment of gripping terror, the darkness fought back, shifting like a living beast. What more horrors awaited them? And would they conquer their fears, or would they succumb to the void that waited hungrily at their feet? The ground shook with a deep rumble, a warning resonating through Sarah's bones. A chasm gaped open, black smoke curling upwards, filling the air with a stench of burnt despair. Anxiety seeped into her skin like ice water, sending her pulse racing. "Hold on tight," Sarah shouted, squeezing Lilia's hand. Their fingers intertwined as they clung to the flickering warmth between them. Each heartbeat drummed like a frantic war cry against the encroaching darkness. The shadows writhed at the edge of the fissure, tentacles of black creeping closer, eager for the feast of fear. "Mom, we have to do something." Lilia's voice trembled, each word punctuated by the crackle of chaos around them. Her eyes were wide, pools of terror reflecting the turmoil. Sarah felt the weight of the world crash down. What could they do? They were surrounded by a facade of hope, but the grim reality of their situation loomed like a monster, waiting for a moment of weakness. Think. What do we do? Remember your truth," the figure urged, its voice cutting through the din. "Use it. You have the strength." Tom's laughter echoed from the swirling shadows. "Weakness is in your blood. No matter how hard you try, you cannot change what you are. You will always belong to me." He stepped forward, his presence swallowing light, his grin a knife edge of cruelty. Sarah's heart raced. She had spent years buried under guilt and regret like stones around her neck. But now, lifted by the bond with her daughter, she refused to drown. "You don't define us," she screamed, channeling every memory, the raw, unspeakable pain and that flicker of hope in time's cruel grasp. The shadows recoiled, snatching at the light as it seeped from her. The warmth enveloped them, but there was no turning back now. The fissure shuddered, the darkness whispering secrets meant to break them down. "I'm more than my pain," she roared, "and so is Lily." The ground beneath them began to pulse with an angry heartbeat. "Stop!" Tom shrieked, his form flickering, unstable. The shadows seethed, feeling the power of her words. Each declaration slammed into the dark like a hammer on glass. "Mom, we can do it. Just believe." Rage and fear battled within her as she raised her gaze to meet Tom's. "You're nothing but a ghost. You have no real power here. I won't let you take my daughter." In a sudden surge, Sarah unburdened her spirit. Failures, heartbreaks, all the mistakes she had melted away in the crucible of those shared moments, the laughter, the warmth, the love that shot like bright arrows through the fog. "You're just my fears. You can't hurt me anymore." The black fog thickened, swirling frenetically, particles crackling like a live wire. Tom's anguished scream echoed against the walls. She saw the shadows falter, the nutrients of her pain slipping from their fingers like oil through a sieve. Suddenly, the ground split wider, an echo of creaking timber, and with one last push, Sarah let her truth explode forth. "We own our story, not you." A blinding light erupted from their clasped hands, pushing back against Tom, who stumbled back, face twisting in horror. Yet, the darkness roared in defiance, clawing at their legs, pulling, trying to drag them down. "You can't escape me." Caught in the soft glow, Sarah felt hopeful but terrified. Just when she thought they had won, the darkness leered, eyes forming in the inky void, hungry and filled with malice. "You think you're free? I will always be part of you." They teetered on the edge of the void, a dark mouth gaping wide, ready to swallow them whole. "Hold on, my love." Sarah's heart thundered as the shadows lunged forward, ready to reclaim their prize. What awaited them on the other side? Would they break free from the chains of the past, or would they plunge into an abyss of despair? The darkness lunged, pulling at their ankles like a relentless beast. Sarah and Lily fought hard against the gravity of despair. The light from their hands dimmed, flickering like a struggling flame. "Please, Mom," Lily gasped, her voice strained. The shadows slipped through their fingers, whispering taunts, dragging their hopes into the depths. It was as if the ground itself wanted them to fail to return to the darkness that had once consumed Sarah. "Fight it, Lily. Remember your truth," Sarah shouted, desperation igniting within her. In that moment, she knew it wasn't just her strength she had to rely on. "We're in this together." With every ounce of will, Sarah pulled herself close to Lily. "We're stronger than this," she cried. Their horror was palpable, spinning in the air like a storm, but she felt Lily's grip tighten, a burst of warmth against the chaos. "Mom, I'm scared." Lily's voice cracked like fragile glass, but in that fear, Sarah sensed the flicker of defiance. I believe. Then let us show them who we are." Sarah's voice rang out, bold and fierce. As Lily closed her eyes, their grips sparked with renewed strength, bursting like a star pushing back against the black void. The shadows recoiled, thrashing violently. Thomas' laughter turned into a snarl, raw and echoing, his once imposing figure now wavering like smoke in a breeze. "You think your strength can save you? You're mistaken." But Sarah was no longer listening. She reached deep into her core, summoning every painful memory that had once shackled her, every tear shed, every whispered doubt. For the first time, she held them not as burdens but as the roots of her resilience. "We are not afraid of you," she shouted, her voice laced with unwavering resolve. "You are just a part of our past." A tide of light erupted, blinding and fierce, crashing against the shadows. The darkness shrieked, unraveling, fracturing under the weight of her proclamation. Sarah felt a surge of power course through her, a brilliant warmth stronger than anything she had ever known. But as quickly as the light had arrived, a new terror pulled at her heart. Beneath their feet, the fissure roared, threatening to consume them whole. "We have to jump." Sarah knew they didn't have time to question. Without waiting for an answer, she took a deep breath and leaped, dragging Lily with her into the abyss. The moment they fell through, a whirlwind of memories flooded Sarah's mind. She gasped as images of her past whirled around, flickers of laughter and tears, each moment spiraling around them. The darkness and light twisted together, merging in a vortex of chaos. "No, this can't be." Tom's voice echoed from above, filled with rage and disbelief, while the darkness clawed to reclaim them. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced through Sarah's side. She gasped, twisting around to find a jagged shadow, solid and lethal, reaching toward them. Lily's scream pierced the air, shattering the moment of despair. "Mom, hang on!" Sarah screamed, adrenaline surging. They were not battered remnants, living on borrowed time. As one, they summoned all their strength and wielded it against the looming threat. But just as hope flickered once more, a horrendous crack echoed, and the ground beneath them trembled violently, splitting apart. The abyss gaped wider, swallowing everything in sight. "Run! We need to escape," Sarah urged, her eyes wild, scanning for an exit in this blinding chaos. But there was no clear path. It was too late. The darkness hissed around them, a melody of despair. "There's no escape from what you truly are." Sarah held tight to Lily, Their breaths mingled in the air, fear colliding with determinism. We can't give up. Yet uncertainty hung heavy. The chasm yawned wider, and chilling shadows danced perilously close. Sarah felt the grip of dread tightening around her chest. They were tested, pushed to their limits, but they had to find something, an answer, a chance, a fleeting glimmer of hope. Just as despair threatened to eclipse them, the ground began to rumble again. Something deep below awakened. What was it? Was it salvation or yet another nightmare waiting to rise? The darkness began to quiver in response. Sarah's heart pounded wildly, but she clung to hope. What awaited them in the depths? Would they rise once more? Or was this the end? Time stretched like an elastic band, pulled taut as Sarah and Lily plummeted through the void. The chaos swirling around them swirled with memories both bitter and sweet, the laughter of friends, the warmth of love, the heart-wrenching sorrow of loss. Each image flickered like they were captured under a sustained light, and Sarah felt them embed deeper into her heart. With a final surge of strength, the shadows lashed out, clawing at their ankles, dragging them deeper into despair. But Sarah tightened her grip on Lily's hand, determination flooding her veins. "We won't let this consume us," she shouted into the void, her voice ringing like an anthem against the darkness. "Mom, I can't hold on." Lily's voice trembled, punctuated by fear and fatigue. "Just a little longer, sweetheart," Sarah urged, her heart racing. She fought to keep her composure, managing to pull them closer together. "We're strong. We've faced this before. We can do it again." The words bolstered her spirit, igniting hope. She recalled how they had fought back before. This wasn't just about escaping. It was about reclaiming their lives, facing and embracing the truth. Then, in that infinite moment, she finally understood what needed to happen. The truth was hidden deep within them, their fears, their traumas, their love. They were not innate burdens. They were sources of strength. "We're not just fighting against him," she insisted, her voice unwavering, defiant. "We're fighting for all of us. For love, for light, for freedom." Suddenly, Sarah felt a pull, as if the fissure had become a riptide trying to drag them under. "Lily, close your eyes and focus on the light we carry. Remember the happy moments, our laughter, the ones we love. Channel that power." The darkness hissed and roared around them, but Sarah felt Lily's grip become firmer. "I'm scared." "Use that fear, Lily. Turn it into strength. We'll face this together." A light flickered at the center of their clasped hands, a tiny but pulsing glow illuminating the darkness. Tom's voice reverberated, the sound prickling her skin. "You think light can conquer darkness? You're such fools. You'll always return to me." Fueled by a rush of fury, Sarah bellowed, "No, you are nothing but a reflection of what I fear. You can't define us or divide our bond." And in that moment, a beam of radiant light exploded from their palms, connecting them like a bridge against the dark. It pulsated, radiating warmth and strength as it spread outwards, illuminating the shadows, shrinking them back. As if struck by lightning, the darkness screeched, twisting and contorting like a creature in agony. The very air throbbed with energy as the room shook with the intensity of their truth. "I will not be defined by your nightmares," Sarah cried, unleashing all of her pent-up pain and joy, each cry imbued with intention. All the ghosts, the faces from the photos, they morphed as the light expanded, flickering back with memories of their own kindness, laughter, connection. They were memories laden with pain and joy, woven into the fabric of who they were. The shadows shrieked, rippling away from the luminous glow. "You can't escape this," Tom yelled in fury, but his voice grew faint, a mere echo against the tidal force of their love. "You belong to me, not anymore," Sarah shouted back, her defiance exploding forth like a star collapsing into a supernova. In a final unity of purpose, they surged together, plunging deep into the very heart of the abyss. "I love you, Mom." Lily's voice rang clear alongside her own. "I'm not afraid anymore." With that, the sea of darkness folded in on itself, unable to withstand the dazzling brilliance they unleashed. Tommy's screams turned to whispers, lost among the cacophony of light and love and the blinding explosion. They felt a rush, a swirling wind lifting them, swirling them upwards. The light surrounded them, cocooning them in reassurance, love, and warmth. Then they burst through, shattering into a new world, landing softly on familiar wooden floors, the familiar embrace of their living room. Daylight streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow upon their faces. What just happened? Lily breathed in wonder, glancing around. Did we escape? Yes, honey, Sarah exhaled, tears flowing freely down her cheeks. But this time, they were tears filled with relief rather than despair. They had faced their truth, and together they had conquered. The weight of the shadows seemed to lift from their shoulders, replaced by the warmth of sunlight and hope. Now we can start fresh, Sarah said, wiping her tears. We can tell our story, and we're free to write a new ending. And as the laughter poured in, echoing through the rooms, they finally felt at home. Mom? Lily asked, her eyes twinkling. Can we start our garden? Absolutely, Sarah grinned, her heart swelling. The sky's the limit. In the distance, laughter echoed in their memories, a reminder that strength comes from moving past fear, weaving the tapestry of their lives anew. Don't let this moment be the last. If you want more incredible stories like Sarah and Lily's, you need to subscribe now. Smash the like button for love and support, and flood the comments with your thoughts about this epic conclusion. Do it now. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with friends who deserve to experience this journey of resilience.